Lift the seat and look up under the rime of your toilet, up inside the lip where your eye never goes. You see it, that orange and gray creeping down out of the little holes. And the ring at the waterline that comes back no matter how hard you scrub. You have brushed this bowl 100 times. You have poured in the blue water and the bleach until the whole room stings. But you have been scrubbing the one surface that was never the problem. And by the end of this, you will understand exactly what is living in that bowl, where it truly hides, and why no amount of scrubbing has ever made it stay away. So you do the thing they taught you to do. You buy the bottle with the mountain on the label and the promise of fresh. You drop the blue tablet in the tank and watch the water turn a color and tell yourself that must mean clean. And when the ring wins anyway and the smell meets you at the door before you have even turned on the light, you reach for the bleach and go at that bowl until your arm aches, and still it comes back. So you tell yourself the toilet is simply old, or the water in this house is simply bad, and there is nothing more to be done. But none of that is quite true, and once you understand why, you will never look at that bowl the same way again. My name is Maria, and what I keep here is the old way of tending a house, the way my mother kept hers and her mother before her, back before there was a bottle on a store shelf for every small thing. There is nothing here I am selling you. There is only the plain knowing that used to pass from a mother to a daughter and has quietly slipped away. Because nobody ever told you the real reason. A toilet does not smell because the bowl is dirty. It smells and it stains because of two places you have never once touched. And that ring you fight every week is not even dirt at all. It is mineral. It is the hard lime the water itself leaves behind as it dries, layer settling over layer, month after month. And this is the very first thing the old way understood that we have somehow let ourselves forget. You cannot scrub away a mineral. A stiff brush will only ever polish it. And here is the part that turns the water in this house is simply bad from a defeat into something you can finally understand. In a great many homes, the water is hard water, and hard only means it carries a good deal of dissolved lime and iron up out of the ground. Every time that water sits in your bowl and slowly dries at the edge, it leaves the faintest trace of that mineral behind. And a faint trace, every single day, becomes, in a season, the ring you know so well. So the water in your house may truly be hard, but hard water was never a thing to be beaten with a stronger bottle. It is only mineral, and mineral has a weakness that was well known in kitchens long before any of us were born. Look close under that rim again. Those little holes are where all the water comes out when you flush. And down inside each one, where it is always damp and never dries, and no brush has ever reached, a soft slime takes hold, and a hard scale grows slowly across the openings. That is where a great deal of the smell is truly living, up, out of sight. And it is why the flush has gone weak and runs down one side in streaks, because the water can no longer come out the way it was made to. All these years you have been cleaning the smooth white bowl your eye can see, while the real trouble sat quietly in the one place your hand never goes. And this is why those hidden places smell at all when the open bowl does not. A smell like that is something alive. In the steady damp up under that rim, and down in the seam, at the floor, in the warmth, and the wet, and the little that feeds them, a living film grows and settles in. And it is that film, working away in the dark, where nothing ever dries it out, that meets you at the door. The bowl, your eye can see, stays too wet and too washed to hold it. The trouble always keeps to the corners that never see the air. Now, the ring itself, that gray and rust line at the water, is the lime and iron the hard water lays down as it sits, and it bonds to the porcelain like a thin shell. This is why no soap ever softens it, and why the harder you go at it with a stiff brush, the more you only burnish it smooth and shining and leave it exactly where it was. A mineral does not answer to force. It answers to acid. And that is the whole reason a grandmother reached for a jar of plain white vinegar and never once for a stronger chemical. The vinegar does not scrub the lime so much as dissolve it, slowly, the way a little water will wear down a stone if you only give it the time. And there is a reason the old way always took the water down in the bowl first, before anything else was done. A ring that sits beneath an inch of standing water can never be reached by whatever you pour on top of it. So the water is lowered, and the ring and those little holes are left up in the open air, where the vinegar can finally rest against them long enough to do its patient work. This is the piece almost everyone misses. They pour a cleaner into a full bowl, it drifts away and thins to nothing in a minute or two, and they wonder why the ring is still sitting there in the morning. The lime was never even touched. And then there is the tank, the lid, you have never once lifted in all these years. The water in there does not rush away like the water in the bowl. It sits for days, still and dark, and a black slime, and its own hard scale builds slowly along the walls and over the parts down inside. And here is the thing that almost no one ever realizes. Every single time you flush, that is the water that pours down into your bowl. All this while, you have been trying to clean a bowl with dirty water. So it can never truly last, no matter how hard you work at it, until the water that fills it is finally clean as well. And now the second place, the one the smell truly comes from, that no bowl cleaner will ever reach. It is the very foot of the toilet, where the china meets the floor. Those two little caps at the base, and the seam, where the whole of it sits down against the tile. Every splash and every small leak over the years has run down into that seam, into a place that never dries and never sees the air, and there it has turned and gone sour. This is the smell people spend years chasing around a room with sprays and candles, never once thinking to kneel down and lay a hand at the very foot of the thing. And if a toilet rocks even a little when you lean your weight on it, that loose foot alone can be the reason a spotless bathroom still does not smell clean. No cleaner ever made was going to fix a bolt gone loose. Which brings us at last to that blue tablet you have kept dropping in the tank all this time, trusting it to be doing the work for you. Here is the honest truth of it. It colors the water so that your eye believes the job is done, and that is very nearly all it was ever for. It never travels up under that rim where the trouble lives, and it never so much as touches the mineral ring. And worse than merely useless, it sits against the soft rubber seals inside the tank and eats at them slowly, until one day the toilet begins to run and will not stop, and you are paying a man to come and fix the very thing the tablet quietly broke. That, in the end, is the whole story of the chemical aisle. It learned to sell a woman the feeling of a clean house, while the real trouble went on untouched in the two places that no bottle ever mentions. So the answer was never a stronger chemical. It was only ever understanding what you were truly fighting. The mineral asks for an acid and a little patience, which is why plain vinegar left to sit will lift a ring that a whole afternoon of scrubbing never could. The soft, gray stone they call pumice, kept wet the whole time it is used, takes away what remains and never scratches the porcelain, for a wet stone on wet china is gentle, and only a dry one will ever scar. The tank is clean, so the water is clean. The foot of it is wiped and dried, so the damp cannot sour. And a single cup of that same vinegar around the rim once a week, left to sit overnight. Keeps the lime from ever building into a ring again. There is one thing to be careful of, and it matters more than all the rest. The bleach and the vinegar must never be poured in together, because the two of them make a gas that is not safe to breathe in a small closed room. Because the women who kept their homes with their own two hands never trusted a smell to a colored tablet, and never let the damp sit and sour in the corners. They understood that a toilet only ever smells as sweet as its most hidden places, and they kept those places clean with vinegar and a brush and a kettle of hot water, and nothing more. They knew where the trouble truly hides, and that is a thing we are only now starting to remember.